Hello, welcome to LAPodcast, local anaesthetic podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 375, and we've got a big announcement today. Before we get on to that announcement, I'm going to say hello to Rob, Rob, hello.
Hello.
Neither of us are in this sort of stage of grief that we probably should be in right now because there's been distance between it, but we should tell our listeners now that episode 375 was actually recorded around a week ago.
Yeah.
But it is now a forever lost episode because none of Rob's audio was recorded. It was just silence due to a technical error.
I mean, not all of it. I mean, there was at least maybe a minute and a half audio, which we could potentially release as a podcast. I'm not sure people want to hear that. I mean, it doesn't really say an awful lot. It's just an assertion.
Do you know what, Rob? It's a shame because it was an hour-long episode. It was good. It was good quality, and we'll never get it back. Do you remember the Queen when she had that terrible year, her Annus Horribilis, Rob? This was our Episodus Horribilis, which I would like as our episode title, Episodus Horribilis.
Okay. When was the Queen's? Sorry, when was the Queen's bad year? I missed that. What was it? What was that relation to?
It's very famous. She gave a speech where she described it as being basically the worst year of her reign and her Annus Horribilis, and that's why you should watch The Crown, Rob. But I knew about it before The Crown. It's when Windsor Castle burnt down and lots of people in the family were getting divorced and everything like that. Well, Windsor Castle didn't burn down, but it had that horrendous fire. Yeah,
quite a major fire.
So it was that.
So listeners, what you're getting today is basically it's not in a redux. It's just an entirely new episode of 375. So it's
an entirely new episode. Yeah, I'm doing all new stories, Rob. I don't know about you, but I can't. It's such a shame. It was such a shame. I remember in that episode, Rob, I took up some deliberately satirical, quite right-wing positions, which nobody will ever hear.
No, which I think may be a good thing. Because I start the episode by doing a...
You're right.
Yeah, I start the episode by doing a diatribe which has been lost to the sands of time. I've decided not to do it again. So let's just crack on.
Yeah, I mean, there were other things in the episode, Rob, which people will never say. I mean, you put on your honey monster costume. I think that there was some nudity. There was all manner of things happened, but the
episode made an appearance for the first time in about 5 years. I mean, yeah, all lost, Alex, all lost.
Yeah. So the lost episode, but and here is its replacement. But listeners, not really good. Not good use of vocabulary there, but never mind. We've got some big news. Now, I think Rob has announced it on our various media platforms, but most people are going to hear about it from the podcast. Now, I'm going to talk about our Patreon, and I know you're sick of hearing me bashing on about it, but it's good news because basically, Rob, what we've decided is, with money being so tight for everybody, as you know, we've got this Patreon page, right? Patreon.com/LAPodcast Extra, where we have our exclusive sister podcast, which is called LA Podcast and Extra Jab, which is basically where people can become members to the podcast. They get exclusive episodes there that aren't available anywhere else. They get 2 episodes a month, and it's been £2 a month since we launched it about a year ago. £2 a month plus VAT, because that's the way Patreon worked. But Rob and I, we've been talking about this for a while, and just with money being so tight for everybody, we've decided we're going to cut that down for forever. So it's now £1 a month to get the 2 episodes into your inbox every month. And of course, there are already 35 episodes there. So if you sign up today for £1 a month, you're already getting access to 35 LA Podcasts and Extra Jab bonus episodes. Plus, I know, Rob, you stuck on the podcast we did a while ago called Daft Talk, which was brilliant, which were there 20 plus episodes, which is where Rob and I used to go through Yahoo Answers and mine. I mean, that I loved doing that, but unfortunately Yahoo Answers was shut down, so you get access to all of those as well. So it's £1 a month, and it's really just the cost of living crisis and everything else, and we just thought, you know what, let's just do this for people. Now, we do know, since doing this, we've had some listeners contact us and say, oh, I'm happy to keep paying the £2 because I want to support you. That's fine, and we really appreciate it, but we still need you to come off the tier you're on, because we just want to have a single tier there, £1 a month. We don't want any mess on the page or any confusion. So the £2 a month tier is, which we're going to shut it down by Christmas. By Christmas Day, it will be gone. So if you haven't moved over, you'll then have to sign up to the new tier. But the good news is, when you sign up to that £1 tier, and any of you who are new to Patreon, when you sign up to this tier, you can actually put in any amount you want to pay a month. It doesn't have to be the £1. The £1 is the minimum. And if you only want to pay £1, that's absolutely fine by us. If you want to pay more than that, that's fine by us. We would appreciate it, because it's our only way of keeping this podcast afloat and covering our costs. So am I right on that, Robbie? You just click the tier. So you click the tier you want to join, you put in your details, and then when you get through, you just can choose how much you want to donate a month.
Yeah, exactly that, Alex. It's quite straightforward. And I know it's a hassle for those who already signed up. Unfortunately, we can't just reduce the cost of the tier. We have to set up an entirely new tier. So it's not just a matter of just changing the amount you pay, but you will have to sign up again. But hopefully you understand that it's like I said, it's helping those who may be struggling at this point in time. So I am sorry for the inconvenience, but we are doing this for the good of the world. And so, people get their local anaesthetic fix at a slightly reduced cost.
So that's the news. It's going to be £1 a month, £1 a month moving forward. Now, Rob, you always used to extol the value of it at £2 a month, and it was very good value, considering what other podcasts charge. But I think £1 is an absolute steal, personally.
Yeah, £1 plus obviously the fees that Patreon charge. We can't do anything about that. That's just unfortunately set in stone.
I think it's like 20p, isn't it? So it will work out being £1.20 because of that. We can't do anything about that. And we can't charge anything less than £1 on Patreon, by the way. We are at the minimum that we can charge to try and help you out at the moment. And we would just really welcome you. We love doing those episodes. We can kind of cover stories on there that are a bit more near the knuckle, even more near the knuckle than we normally do. But yeah, sign up today, and Rob will continue to promote it out on social media. And we'd ask you listeners to do the same. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell, just strangers, passers by,
Yeah.
people on the bus.
Look, at this point in time, £1.20, that buys you maybe 2 pints of milk. So that's what you're looking for on a monthly basis. So, obviously keep buying milk. Do not go without milk for this podcast, but
I don't drink milk, Rob. I'm lactose intolerant. So.
You're one of those people. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alex, look, let's crack on with the podcast, because I do have some news. This is from Steve, who obviously is our Eagle Heights correspondent. Steve starts this post off by saying updates to the itinerary of terror. There's a post from Eagle Heights on their Facebook page to say we have a herd of 8 male alpacas. They are social animals and make lots of different sounds, including humming, snorting, chuckling, screaming, and howling. They can live up to 20 and each have their own personality. Alex, why do they feel they need to make it clear that llamas make screaming, chuckling, and growling noises?
It did know. It said screaming and howling. I think because.
Oh, sorry, no, growling. I was me misreading it. Growling, not howling. It did say screaming, though. That is very clear.
But the screaming, I think the screaming is just trying to say to people, if you hear alpacas screaming on our land, don't be calling the RSPCA, because it's perfectly normal behaviour. Yeah,
this is what alpacas do. They just scream intermittently throughout the course of the day. Nothing to see here.
Thank you, Steve. Steve's great, isn't he? He really does. I mean, the amount of stuff that we would have missed with Eagle Heights without Steve. He really is taking his responsibilities seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other piece of news I just want to feature very quickly is from Kaiba. It's an update from our favourite Japanese restaurant based in the Norwich area.
Oh, right, yeah.
Obviously we are referring to Orlando's. So this is from the 23rd of September. The headline is Orlando's Norwich faces no action over sushi restaurant post. So if you cast your mind back, obviously there we shared a Facebook post from Orlando's advertising their Japanese restaurant, which is obviously being operated from what it seems to be the obviously the front room of his house. Which is also obviously a bed and breakfast, and Norwich City Council have made the brave decision to no longer investigate it.
So basically to do nothing, even though what he's doing I think is technically not allowed. They can't be asked anymore. So he's won out, Rob, just through sheer persistence.
He has. They've given up. Obviously, they told him to take his sign down. But it basically states that in terms of food hygiene, the council added that Orlando's was already a registered food business operating a B&B serving evening meals. So I think they just can't be bothered, Alex. And we know, as we've covered on this podcast, one of the councils ate there anyway, or member of city council staff. So maybe they've just accepted that his proud chef, which we often speculated is just him, is delighted to be able to serve legitimately food of, sushi in this case, to the people of Norfolk.
Indeed. On that note, Rob, let's crack on with 375 of Local Anaesthetic Podcast. Right, Rob, I'm going to start with a very short story from the Wales Online. It's by Kathy Owen, who didn't have a big job to do, I'll be honest, on this story, but I just want to read it out, and there are some comments as well. It's from the 19th of November 2022. Headline: Man airlifted to hospital after being trampled by dangerously out of control cow.
Right. Oh, that's going to hurt.
Actually, well, it is, and he's a pensioner. He's been airlifted to hospital after being trampled by a runaway cow and seriously injured, so we do hope he's okay. The animal was described as being dangerously out of control after escaping from Whitland Mart. Whitland Mart sounds like, because a mart is kind of a shop, isn't it? It wasn't in a shop, was it? Well, Walmart. That's our equivalent, by the way, to our American listeners. Yeah, you've got Walmart everywhere. All around the UK are, what's it called? Whitland Marts. No, there aren't. Sounds interesting. A Whitland Mart in Carmarthenshire on Saturday morning of the 19th. You were going to say something, Rob, sorry.
In where, Alex?
Carmarthenshire.
Carmarthenshire in Wales?
That would be the one.
Right, okay.
Not been there.
Right. It's very pretty, you should go.
Dyfed? Is that how you say it? Dyfed Powell's police said the animal ran...
Dyfed Paris.
Oh, right, okay. So this is Rob's innate Welsh genes. Said the animal ran off from the market and ran towards... Have you ever done a Welsh accent on the podcast, Rob? And can you do one?
Oh, yes, I probably have done one, and no, I'm not going to anymore.
Oh, come on, just slip into it.
No, Alex, because if I slip into it, there's a good chance that it may slip away from Wales into other parts of the world, if you know what I'm referring to.
Right. Okay, so your accents are that bad. Okay. So the animal ran off from the market and ran towards the centre of the village. A statement from the force said it came across an elderly man in North Road where it attacked and trampled him. That's not... No. The man was airlifted to University Hospital of Wales. It reminds me of that Alan Partridge where somebody chucks the cow on him, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose bulls attack, but I can't imagine just a sort of a run-of-the-mill dairy cow is going to attack anyone. They're quite placid animals.
Can I just say, as well as episode Horribilis, which I do think has to be our episode title, a runaway dairy cow is a very beautiful turn of phrase that you just came up with there, Rob.
Thank you.
So basically, the man was airlifted to University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff for emergency treatment. I think University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff has 2 emergency beds, a doctor and a dog. Well, a dachshund, I believe it is, called Colin.
Right.
But good luck to him. Police say that the cow then ran onto a railway track in the area. That's the one railway they have there.
Yeah.
And trains had to be put on stop, Rob, to mitigate the danger. The cow eventually made it to a field where police say every effort was made to safely contain it with the owner. Now, hang on. So, Rob, let's just read this sentence. The cow eventually... it's just such a great story, this. So you've got a cow in Whitland Mart, which I don't know what that is, in Carmarthenshire.
Carmarthenshire,
right?
Yeah.
Carmarthenshire. So basically like a Walmart, but very small and with not many items in it. The cow's in there for whatever reason. It runs off from there. It runs towards the centre of this village. It comes across an elderly man who it attacks and tramples. Then it goes onto a railway track. They have to stop the trains. Then it gets onto a field where police say every effort was made to safely contain it with the owner, but all attempts failed and the animal was humanely killed with the consent of the owner because of the danger posed by the animal. Now, Rob, it's a short story, but let's get into this because my mind just runs. What?
That escalated quickly.
But let's go through this. Every effort was made to contain it with the owner. What do you think that looked like? I think that looked like a lot of people standing in the field going, let's say the cow was called Daisy. Daisy, you don't want to do this. Come on. Come back into your barn. Come back into your cow shed. I think it was like sort of verbal. Do you think that's what it was? Because they say every effort. What other efforts could there have been? Do you think they were tempting it with, I don't know, what do cows eat? Dairy Lee. Do they eat Dairy Lee? According to the advert, I think they do.
Yeah, well, I think they eat grass mainly. Right. I have to. I don't know why. I can't believe this was a particularly There wasn't a lot of resources deployed to this. I imagine there's 2 police officers and the farmer with his jacket just trying to put this jacket over the cow's head. That's it. That's the extent of it. Like a really bad matador.
Oh God, but Rob, I think so. I've got this image of this cow that has, like Rob, like if you were being held in a gulag and there's a runaway prisoner. This is a cow that's sick of being milked every day. It knows it's sometime its number's up. It's the horrific way that, basically, our industrial farming apparatus all around it, and it's made a bid for freedom. It's a runaway, rebellious, freedom-fighting cow.
Yeah.
And it's there, and it knows, and it's prepared, Rob, to give up its life. Yeah. It's like that man standing up to the tank in
Tiananmen Square, yeah.
Tiananmen Square, like that. Not comparing the man to a cow or the cow to a man, for that matter. I'm just saying a similar confrontation to oppressive authority.
Right. Possibly, yeah. So you're actually saying that the cow is the victim in this scenario?
Oh, absolutely.
And he was trampling down the capitalist regime by walking over a pensioner.
Rob, to be fair, if we were like cows, yeah, I think we would not see humans as benevolent. I mean, I eat meat, right? But I'm very well aware of that this is, I for a long time, Rob, I suffered under the the delusion that, and I mean a long time, that a lot of the meat I was buying, I still imagined farms as they were like when I was taken to them when I was a child, like just small sort of, well, not even small, just places run by 1 or 2 people, a few cows knocking about in a field, some chickens roaming around, and that's where I was getting my meat and I wasn't really aware till quite late on in my life of the sort of industrial sheds of torture.
Yeah, the industrial abattoirs where they slaughter cows, in their thousands on a daily basis.
Yeah,
according to Craig,
But the point is, right, so you've just painted a brilliant image, Rob, of 2 police officers, the owner trying to cover the cow's face with a coat. So they've said all attempts failed, and then the animal was humanely killed with the consent of the owner. So if we move on, do we assume then the police officer said, listen, mate, this isn't working, we're going to have to kill it? And what does humanely killed mean, Rob?
Alex, I mean, under no delusions that the man went back to his Land Rover, pulled out a shotgun and literally point blank range, barrel to the head of the cow, dead.
It said the police did it with the consent of the owner. So they said to him, look, it's not working, he's all right if we kill it. He's crying, he said, okay. What did they do?
He happily hands over his shotgun to the police. He looks away because obviously he's absolutely distraught. Police put out his misery, and they all have chops for tea. No, not chops. Steak for tea.
I just got an image of the police officers, in this rather sort of, I don't know, ludicrous, farcical scene in the field with one of them sort of wrestling with a cow on its back and the other one trying to throttle it.
Maybe. Or just trying to strangle it, trying to get it in the stranglehold. And just stroking its head as it slowly, asphyxiates.
God. Right, Rob, we've got to go through the comments. Morgaine says, what rubbish. Speaking as a farmer's daughter, either just leave the damn animal alone for a few hours in the field to calm down, or if the field is not fenced properly, use a tranquilizer dart. Sounds like a lot of blokes got wired up and testosterone-y. Presumably they now feel smug. What a great Dream. So Rob, these comments are going to be good, right? Because Dreamgirl99 says, I've got a sense of humour, but honestly, some of these comments, I do hope the man is okay though. So I think I need to get through to some of what these comments might be. Luna33 says, dangerously out of control cow, eh? At least I know where the mother-in-law is.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Gildimage says, I fancy a nice steak now. Somebody here makes a point we were making, Rob. Stan 1 says, I hope the gentleman injured makes a full recovery. I've been to some of these markets and seen how they're treated, appalling at times. This animal was obviously stressed out for the time it was loaded at the travel to market and unloaded. Where were animal health and welfare inspectors? I have on many occasions seen so-called inspectors ignore poor treatment of animals. Sadly, this cow paid the penalty for poor treatment, but by its fate in the field. That's a nice turn of phrase. The cow's fate in the field, yes.
Yeah.
A commenter here says, for a moment when I read the headline, I thought they were talking about my wife. Lovely. So just referencing her as a cow, Rob.
Lovely.
Typical misogynism down at the Wells online. Rishi Sunak, nice of him to comment, says right. Whitland Mart is a poorly maintained dump. Nice episode title.
A typical Tory comment then.
Bunch of tight cardies who'd rather stuff the profits in a mattress than on infrastructure. Another good episode title. How do you humanely shoot something? That's a good point. Humanely shot.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I don't think there is a way to humanely kill something, is there?
Straight through well, no, humanely shoot, I think was the phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Which is brilliant. Well, just a shot straight through the
straight through the brain,
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob. I'm just going to finish on one more story because we went into that one at length. Do you want to hear a story, Rob, that's going to make you wince and probably hold your crotch in sympathetic agony?
Of course I do, Alex, yeah. Why wouldn't I?
We've had many stories like this over the past, Rob. This is Holly Patrick. It's from the 16th of November. Japanese man gets skipping rope stuck in bladder after inserting it into his penis.
Oh, God. Again, I mean, we've covered so many stories like this, and you just think...
This is the worst, Rob. I'm looking at a picture of a skipping rope in a bladder. How does that even happen? Is the skipping rope either very thin or is his penis either very wide and large? Which is it?
I imagine that if he's put a skipping rope in there, other things have been inserted before this. So maybe it's a stretchy hole.
You're saying there's some give there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's a professional. Well, up until this point.
An elderly Japanese man got a 90-inch long skipping rope stuck in his bladder after inserting it into his penis. Rob, I'm looking at it. 90 inches. What?
Okay.
Oh God.
I don't understand. I mean, also, is there? Maybe I'm really naive, but is there some sexual gratification about doing this? Because that just sounds like it's painful.
Oh, it's very pleasurable. I've got a fork stuck in my penis right now. I just thought it was a nice way to start Sunday morning.
Well, so you need someone to keep your cutlery, don't you?
Yeah. That's what they should make Matt Hancock do. I started watching I'm a Celebrity. I don't know if the results are out now, the final thing, because we do record a bit in advance, Rob, and we're already delayed with this episode. But I watched a few episodes and then I just couldn't bear it anymore. And I couldn't bear the fact that I realised that, inevitably people were just going to start warming to this dick. But they should have made him stick a skipping rope, a 90-inch one, down his penis. Why not?
I mean, yes, of course, but I'm not sure that would have. I'm not sure it's right for primetime ITV programming. Personally,
the only thing I say, Rob, is I quite like Ant and Dec in a way, to a degree, to a point, because they're still to a degree sort of, taking the money wherever they can get it kind of people. Whatever their politics are, I imagine their politics is to the left. They're from the north. It's a good bet from some of the things they say. What I'd like is if at the end of it, they go, hey, oh, Matt, like whenever he's kicked out, they go, oh, you were paid $400,000 for this, and here it is, and they give him a suitcase, and he opens it, it's just Monopoly money, and then they just kick him in the balls. And that's the end of their TV career, but they would go down as legends.
Yeah, kick him in the balls, piss on him, and then leave him to make his own way back to the UK. Just leave him stranded on a desert island.
Anyway, according to a study published in Urology Case Reports, which I think we should begin subscribing to.
Urology Case Reports, fuck me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the 79-year-old admitted inserting the rope through his urethra before it became entangled in his bladder. Images show the skipping rope. Oh, to be fair, it was without handles. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Coiled up in the man's bladder. The rope was surgically removed without any complications. It's not clear why the man inserted the rope into his penis. I've got to finish that, Rob. I can't go on. Sorry.
Alex, look, there's many questions, but the most important one is how he's going to get his exercise now that he can't use the skipping rope anymore.
Rob, before we get on to your stories here, I was thinking in our little interlude there that in terms of the lost episode, 375, the episode that we recorded, but only my lines were recorded because we record our audio separately and I edit the whole thing together. One of the things we could have done is maybe on the Patreon just stick up my audio files and people could have listened to me, just my side of the conversation and it would have sounded like somebody having a psychotic episode.
Yeah, a man who's mentally ill, just having a conversation with himself.
Yeah, and fill in the blanks, But anyway, you got some stories for us there, Rob.
Yeah, Alex, I'm going to be, in the interest of full disclosure, I haven't chosen the new stories. These are the stories I did on the old episode, so I apologise because you've heard them before, but the listeners haven't. So I thought I would just redo them, really. So I apologise for you if they're repetitive. But anyway, look, again, in the interest of full disclosure, once again, this story has been lifted from angry people in local newspapers. It is from 2018, so it's not a current story, but it is a good short story. It's from a paper that we've actually discovered relatively recently, which is the Sussex World, which I can't remember which story you featured from it. But anyway, look, so it is from the 26th of July 2018. There's no journalist listed. And the headline is Missing Eastbourne Canal Boat Man Found on Canal Boat. And it's a very short story, but Frederick Richards, who was reported missing after not being on contact with his family since June 23rd, has been found safe and well in France. He was located by French police in good health and enjoying a holiday on his canal boat, said Sussex Police.
Rob, sorry, can I just interrupt you just 1 second? I heard these stories last week, so I'm just going to insert just my audio files from last time. There's no point in me. So hang on, let me just do that. So you continue with the story, hang on.
Okay, that's it, Alex. That's the end of the story.
Have you ever been on a canal?
Right.
No, me neither. I've not been on a canal either.
Right, okay. So on to my next story.
It's not going to work, Rob. It's all out of sync. Sorry, Rob, it's all out of sync. It's not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work.
So this is...
They're all...
Stop talking. So this is from the Stoke-on-Trent Live. It is from the 8th of November by Jamie Brasington and Ruby Davies, no relation. And the headline is Stunned Family Discover Fake Pair of Breasts at Staffordshire Beauty Spot.
I went on a canal once in France. Sorry, let me turn that off. Sorry. It's not going to work.
No.
Yes, fake. I remember this. What's weird about these stories is I do vaguely remember them, but what's really worrying me, it's only a week ago, but they are very misty. Yes, I remember something about this family. They discovered a fake pair of... Were they silicone inserts, Rob, or were they the novelty breast kind, a la Blackadder?
They were the novelty breast. Well, but obviously they didn't come as a pair. They were two fake breasts. I don't know whether... I'm assuming they were novelty breasts, or they may have been... if I use the phrase chicken fillets, do you know what that refers to?
Yeah, I buy them all the time.
Yeah, it may have been. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So a family were left stunned after discovering a pair of fake breasts at Staffordshire Beauty Spots. The family were on a Sunday afternoon walk over Chase Water in Burntwood when they came across the mystery objects. One breast was found lodged between two planks of a wooden gate at Norton Bog in Burntwood. The second was then spotted a few metres down the path on a tree between two stumps. Not a euphemism. It's not clear how the objects got there, but they proved to be an amusing find for the family who are enjoying a chilly autumn walk, reports the Birmingham Live. A mum told the Black Country Live, which I think is... I don't ever seem to remember covering that website, the Black Country Live.
I don't think we've ever covered it, but it sounds like the sort of publication we should be covering. Who knows what sort of dark and disturbing things go on in the Black Country?
Yeah, I was thinking there's a lot of depravity in those areas. I don't know why, but could be wrong. So a mum told the Black Country Live it's not what you usually see in a spot over there. Much to the amusement of my 7-year-old and his friend. We saw the first one at the gate and then spotted the other up a tree a few hundred metres later.
Sorry, up a tree?
Yes.
What's it doing there? What was somebody doing with this? Okay.
There's no point getting into it, Alex. Norton Bog forms part of the picturesque Chasewater Country Park, just just for a bit of context. So there's a few comments on this article. Onlyfart says, I hear they were making $2,000 a week on OnlyFans before getting stuck up a tree.
Yeah, that's sort of decent.
Yeah. A proper professional dosser says it's a sign. And Flick says, could it be a titmus tree? Doesn't really work.
They're poor, Rob. They're poor, I'll be honest.
I mean, that's the people of Stoke-on-Trent for you, Alex. It's very much what to be expected.
Is that it, Rob?
That's it, Alex. That's it for me.
So, in a week, and we're trying to get people to sign up to the Patreon. But you have got stories for the Patreon, I assume, Rob. You're not just regurgitating that. Okay, good.
I was just going to do these stories verbatim until the end of time now. I was hoping we could find a different twist on them each iteration.
All right, Rob, let me just do a quick story then, because I feel this is a very important update that people want to know. It's from inews.co.uk, which I believe is part of the independent newspaper group. I don't even know anymore. But listen, Rob, I've got another Gimp Man update, and people are avidly following this podcast to hear more about Gimp Man. Just like Rob, we had all those people listening when we used to cover the Croydon Cat Killer. Yep. If you don't know who Gimp Man is, you need to go back and listen to a lot of the previous episodes. I mean, look, no, I'll give a brief background. There's a village. Where was it, Rob? A village in Somerset, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the village. No. It was Somerset.
No, Essex, wasn't it?
No, originally it was Somerset. There's an Essex Gimp Man who's a vigilante that does good.
So it's the Essex Gimp who we're talking about, the good Gimp, not the bad Gimp who is terrorising people in the sleepy village, jumping out of bushes wearing a Gimp outfit. This is the good Gimp of Essex.
This is the good
by
Gimp.
Eleanor Peake. Headline: The Essex Gimp, the Somerset Gimp is giving Gimps a bad name. And there's a picture of him standing in a town in some towns, Colchester town centre, leaning up against a wall, wearing his Gimp outfit, arms crossed, looking annoyed.
As you would, Alex. I mean, when you're good Gimp, you are the yin to the yang, as I've said before. You are going to get upset when all you're trying to do is aid the local community and support local charities.
Absolutely. Every couple of weeks, the Gimp Man of Essex climbs into his skin-tight latex suit and hood with the help of a generous dusting of talcum powder and heads into Colchester. I hope he's using the non-cancerous kind. Sometimes he does his... that's the talcum powder. He does his weekly shop at Tesco, otherwise he simply wanders around aimlessly. That's a nice write-up of this man, isn't it? He has been doing this for the past 9 years. So he either does his weekly shop at Tesco or he wanders around aimlessly, and he's been doing this for 9 years. Okay. Sounds a bit like my life, apart from... Actually, it's very similar to my life, apart from...
The Gimp thing.
Substitute Tesco with Aldi and Gimp costume for just regular clothes.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
On my walks, I have to be as normal as possible, he says. Obviously, you're walking around in a mask, but if you actually talk to people, they usually react well. They see the fun element. Has he ever experienced a backlash? Some people make the odd negative comment, but usually their friends will tell them off. Some people don't like me being out in the Gimp suit because they think it belongs in the bedroom. To be honest, though, 99% of people react positively. The Gimp Man of Essex, as he describes himself on his Facebook page, has become a minor celebrity in his area. Yet he prefers to remain anonymous, saying, I don't think my family would particularly understand. Can I just say, he seems to me, Rob, like the perfect candidate for the next series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
I think to call him a celebrity, Alex, would be pushing it, although some of the people in there at the moment, I think, aren't celebrities either.
He is aware that his latex-clad walks are puzzling to some, but explains that the suit is an outlet for him, saying, The Essex Gimp is my alter ego, my downtime, my chance to be somebody else, for a short bit of time. Some people can go to a comics convention for escapism. This is my version. People might think of it as weird, but I'm not doing any harm. I'm not going out naked. I'm fully covered, no matter what other people's perception of those clothes are. Just because someone's wearing latex clothing doesn't mean they're a monster. But then we have the Somerset Gimp. Bit of background. The Somerset Gimp is a notorious figure in the small villages of Yatton and Claverham in North Somerset. Like the Essex Gimp, this latex-clad man roams the local area in his suit, but unlike the Essex Gimp, his intention appears to be scaring residents. The Somerset Gimp has jumped out at locals at least 16 times since 2016, sometimes following them home late at night while grunting. I should point out that on a previous podcast, Rob said that man, the Somerset Gimp, was doing nobody any harm.
No,
on the 26th of October.
I don't make me litigate. That's not what I said. You're taking my comments out of context, and if I do have to sue you, if you bring that upon yourself, then that's your own fault.
On the 26th of October, a man in his 30s was finally arrested on suspicion of being the perpetrator. That's the Somerset Gimp, not the Essex Gimp. The Gimp man of Essex followed this news story closely. When I first saw the Somerset Gimp, I fell in love. No, he didn't say that. I thought, this is 100% wrong. This guy's undone everything the Gimp community is trying to do. It gives us all a bad rep. Jumping out on women, however you're dressed, isn't right. There are innocent guys like me who go out on walks in their Gimp suits. This guy's hiding around in the dark at night and scaring people lifeless. That's different. I wouldn't be surprised if alcohol or drugs were involved. They're asking for trouble, terrorising people like that late at night. But Rob, the Gimp man of Essex doesn't want to terrify anybody. In quotes, I don't want people to feel uneasy, so I always go out during the day, and I don't go when it's the school holidays. You know what, mate? If you don't want people to feel uneasy, don't wear the fucking Gimp outfit.
Alex, you're casting aspersions on this good man.
One woman tried to get... Oh, God. I just had an image of Matt Hancock in a Gimp outfit. I can't get it out of my mind.
Hang on, where's Matt Hancock's consistent? Is it his constituency is Suffolk, isn't it? Matt Hancock.
Yeah.
Okay, let's carry over. It's fine.
One woman tried to get. What if it turned out that the Gimp man of? No, I'm not going to go there. One woman. That'd be hilarious.
It's possible. The Colchester's very close to the Suffolk border. Just saying.
One woman tried to get a photo with me and her child. I just laughed and said, "I don't think the kid should be in the photo." I try hard to chat to people and make them feel comfortable. Before his first public walk, he was nervous. I didn't know what sort of reaction I was going to get, he says. When he finally took the plunge, he was shocked. There was just complete silence. People didn't even notice me. If they did, they'd just glance over, but not much else. Not sure you're interpreting that in the right way, mate. By the end of the trip, I'd gone from being so nervous to being so confident. A woman asked me while I was dressed up in my Gimp suit, and I said, I heard it was going to rain. And we both just started laughing. Since the lockdowns, Rob, the Essex Gimp has become a familiar figure around Colchester. During lockdown, people were very low and told me that I brightened up their day. Now sometimes people point and say, that's the Essex Gimp. Thanks to his recent rise to fame, he has raised over £3,500 for the mental health charity Mind. A lot of people ask me for a photo when I'm in my suit. Now for every photo people take with me, I donate £1 to charity. That way, everyone's a winner.
I'm going to be the first to say, Alex, that Gimp is a good egg.
Right, Rob, it is time now for our listener story of the week. Are you repeating the listener story of the week you featured in the Lost episode, or are you featuring a new one?
The old one. Well, new for the listeners, Alex. New for the listeners. Not new for you. We don't do this for you, Alex.
When you said at the beginning of this episode that this wasn't a redux, it was in fact a brand new episode.
Yeah.
When you said that, you meant what?
That I'm reading it brand new for the listeners who haven't heard it yet.
Okay. So as I remember, it was from Khyber.
Yes.
Now I cannot remember what the story was, but I seem to remember I enjoyed it.
See, this is the thing, Alex. This is why I made the decision to do these stories again, because I thought there's a good possibility that you would have easily forgotten the story in the course of a week. So I made quite a shrewd editorial decision there. I mean, I'm sure once I read the headline, it will come all flooding back. But
now I feel bad that I didn't cover my stories again, because I think some of them were quite good.
Well, you could do it on the Patreon.
No. I don't want to go back. I'm not going back, Rob.
Okay,
it's lost.
Right. Okay. Well, this is from the Cymru Online, which is obviously the Wales Online, but they've changed their name, obviously quite in line with the Wales football team. So it is from the 2nd November by Ben Mitchell and Alistair Mason. They've obviously lifted it from a Kent paper by the looks of it. But the headline is a giant Liz Truss effigy with laughing letters on her shoulder to burn at bonfire event.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, the ritual sacrifice.
The ritual sacrifice,
yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So
now, what I remember about this story, Rob, is that you'll go through it in a minute, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but in past years, they burnt previous effigies, some of
Correct.
which kind of made no sense to me.
Yes, there's some really random names on that list. Yeah, but just to go into the meat of the story. So Liz Truss and the Laughing Lettuce will be burned in an effigy by a bonfire society. The 11-meter high former Prime Minister, complete with chuckling salad veg on her shoulder, was unveiled by the Edenbridge Bonfire Society on Wednesday.
Can I just say on that, Rob? Sorry, for our international listeners, you might not keep up so much with British politics. How many prime ministers have we had in the last I don't know, something like 4 prime ministers?
We've had 12 prime ministers in 5 prime ministers in 12 years.
Right. And this year we had this extraordinary thing where Boris Johnson, who you probably have heard of, he had to leave in disgrace. There was a leadership campaign amongst the Conservative politicians. This woman called Liz Truss won, who is a indescribably stupid person. And within 5 weeks had to resign after she and her chancellor had literally wrecked our economy. But a newspaper here, a tabloid newspaper, a bit like the National Enquirer, had a webcam, a sort of running thing, didn't they? Where they bought when she got into office, they bought a fresh lettuce and they left a camera on it and they said which one is going to soil first. Will Liz Truss leave before the lettuce goes bad? That was kind of it, wasn't it?
That was it, yeah. So which is going to last longer, really? It turns out the lettuce won.
That was it.
So that's why that's there. So the effigy is is rich with nods to Miss Truss's short tenure as PM. She carries with her a box which contains a copy of her mini budget, a Make Britain Great Again in red cap, a T-shirt with the slogan "I am a fighter, not a quitter," and a cheque for £115,000 in reference to the perpetual funding provided to ex-prime ministers. Also in the container is a copy of the Guinness Book of Records, a cheeky reference to the fact she was the shortest serving PM in UK history. The box itself has a big upside-down U with the words "this way up," the wrong way up, and the words "oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," Packaging Limited, referencing the words of King Charles to Truss as she arrived to meet him. Which we just discussed on the podcast last time, the episode that's now been it's with the angels, because I didn't realise that King Charles had said that to her. But yeah, and as you already mentioned, Alex, the list of previous effigies, of previous guys.
Can I just clarify? Liz Truss wasn't inside the effigy, was she? I mean, it wasn't like
it wasn't a Wicker Man kind of thing. No, to the best of our knowledge, that didn't happen.
We're sure about that. Okay.
In the darkest parts of Kent, who knows what happens? The previous public figures put for ridicule include John Bercow, obviously the former Speaker of the House.
Again, a bit, but I understand. Presumably after the bullying allegation,
I'm assuming so. Yeah,
it's still a bit like it was bad. But if you're going to find a figure, why didn't they put? I don't know, the guy who runs North Korea. I've forgotten his name for a second.
Kim Jong-il.
Yeah, Putin.
Well, yeah, true. I suppose Putin isn't on this list, actually. Yeah, but,
or Noel Edmonds,
yeah, the evilest of all men.
That's a joke, Noel. Please, because we know you're litigious. Just don't forget it.
Yeah, it is a joke. Boris Johnson, Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump, all perfectly understandable. Katie Hopkins, yes. Russell Brand, yeah, okay. Jonathan Ross, that's a bit random.
It really is.
Both Tony and Sherry Blair. Katie Price.
You know what I'd love on that list? If it was Jonathan Ross, Tony and Sherry Blair, Katie Price, and Paul Ross. Just random. Jonathan Ross. Whatever happened to Jonathan Ross' brother? You don't really see him anymore. But what I have noticed is that Jonathan Ross is looking more and more like his brother as he gets older.
Jonathan Ross has
got very random.
Yeah, I mean he's got a primetime chat show on ITV, I think, Alex. If he's doing okay for himself. Don't worry about him.
Jonathan Ross does, not Paul Ross.
Oh, Paul Ross. I think he still does horoscopes.
Yeah, whatever happened to? Right, that's what I meant, Rob. Yeah, I know Jonathan Ross has a primetime chat show. Yes, where he's copying Graham Norton's shtick by having lots of guests on at once.
Correct. Yeah. Just to finish off that list, Alex, we also have Wayne Rooney, Lance Armstrong, Anne Robinson, and someone who's obviously very close to Anne Robinson, Saddam Hussein.
That's like the most. That's a dinner party I just wouldn't want to go to. It sounds horrendous.
Yeah. I mean, just to finish off the story, so that they aim to raise over £5,000 for local charities. They've been doing this for over 90 years.
90?
90, 90.
So we have to assume, Rob, that back when this started, for a good few decades, those sacrifices were, real humans were involved.
Oh God, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it would be villagers who they'd accuse of witchcraft.
On that note, Rob, we bring this episode 375, not the real 375, of course, but the substitute 375, because the original 375 is long gone, but not forgotten, to a close. We, of course, can be found on our website, LAPodcast.net. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LAPodcast. We're on Twitter @LAPodcast. We're on Spotify. You know the drill. But the big news is go over to Patreon right after this episode, because there's going to be... Come and join us over there. We want you over there. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/LAPodcast extra. And now, at the new price, indefinitely... We know why people are asking us to do this. We're asking you to become members to support this podcast, to keep it going, lest we should fall into ruin. And we shall see you, hopefully, over on the Patreon. I think we're for episode 36 next one we're recording for that. And then, of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another regular LA 376. Thank you for listening, everybody. God bless.
And keep it local.
Local Anesthetic Podcast is on Patreon, so go to patreon.com/LAPodcast extra for access to our exclusive bonus episodes. You won't find them anywhere else. Here's a preview of what's coming up on the next LA Podcast, an extra jab. Count shot wife's dog dead during divorce fight.
Right.
He denied the charge, claiming that the 13-year-old gun dog had cancer and that the death was a mercy killing.
Yeah, it does worry me that it's a very small leap from dog to peasant.
Pheasant or peasant, Rob?
I said peasant, but yeah. I mean, I'm sure to the rich, a peasant and pheasant are virtually the same thing anyway.
I was about to say, Rob, there's many a toff who's got confused when somebody said they're going out on a pheasant hunt and a couple of homeless people have ended up dead.
Yeah. Gravesend couple sleeping in garden after thieves steal gate.
Right.
But Mr. Sargent is using a mattress to separate himself from the concrete, while Miss Wilkes is resting her head on a garden swing seat.
Woman who married Ragdoll says relationship is, in quotes, hanging on a thread after he cheated. She's left broken-hearted after a friend saw Marcello, the Ragdoll, sneaking into a motel with another woman.
Alex, this is an inanimate object.
Oh, by the way, Rob, I just did want to say, I will be sending out an email later to just all the people who work on this podcast, and obviously you are the main person who contributes, just saying that,
of course,
either you start to adopt a hardcore podcast working culture, which means just recording many more episodes in the week. Basically, I want you to be doing 13-hour days, or just quit. It's up to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to quit. I'll let you know that right now. I'm going to tap out. Hello.